Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about the location and identify of certain bones. We're talking about in Chapter 7 from 7.6 to 7.12. Keep in mind that all of my references were taken place from the PowerPoint and the book provided by the professor. If you had any questions, go ahead and refer back to those. I'm not really going into detail about what each bone does, just about the location of it, and I'm identifying each of them. So the skull is composed of 22 bones. 8 of those happen to be cranium and 14 happen to be facial. Now in this one we're going to go ahead and talk about the cranial part. Now on the top right here, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but it's also have little indications of what they're called and where its location is at. So first we have the frontal, the parietal, which has 2, the occipital, the temporal, the sphenoid, and the thymoid. Not the thymoid, the ethmoid, my bad. The frontal is in the front of the skull. The parietal is kind of like on these sides. It has 2 of them. The occipital is in the back, so you can't see it. You have to look at the bottom picture. It's that blue part of it. The temporal as well is on the side, so you can't see it on the first one. You got to look in the bottom one. It's the red part. The sphenoid is in the eye, and as well as the ethmoid. It's located in the eye. Next we go on to facial. Facial has 14 parts, but it's not as many as you would think. It's just some of them have 2 parts. So first we have the upper jaw, the palatine, the zygomatic, which is the cheekbone, the lacrimal, nasal, vomer, inferior nasal condyle, and mandible. All of these are located and they're labeled exactly where they're at on the picture. Mandibles is obviously the jaw. Maxillae is the upper jaw, so you have both of those. Keep in mind that the jaw is the only part on the skull that actually moves. Everything else kind of just stays in place. Next we go on to the vertebral column. There are 4 different locations, and you can kind of see them bracketed and separated on the picture next beneath. One is cervical, and has 7 of them. These are in the neck region. Next we have thoracic. These are about the chest area, and there's 12. Then we have lumbar. This is the small back, so the lower back of your back, obviously, and there's 5 of them. And then we have the sacral. Now this one is kind of where they split up. It's 5 infused in the sacrum and then 4 infused in the coccyx. Then we go on to the thoracic cage, which protects most of your organs like your lungs and your heart. Awesome. So first we have ribs. We have 12 of those. You can see them labeled on the picture. We have true ribs, and we have 7 of those. And then we have 5 false ones. You can see at the bottom there's 3 false ones, and then at the very bottom there's 2 floating. So they don't actually connect to anything. They're kind of just floating in the air. Then we have the thoracic vertebrae, which you can see it labeled. It's at the top, on top of the sternum. And then we have the costal cartilage that connects ribs to the sternum. Going with that, we have the pectoral griddle, which kind of is located in your arm. It connects the clavicles and the scapulae to the arm itself. You have 2 of each. Clavicle is being your collarbone, and scapulae is being your shoulder blades. Then we move on to the upper limb. Upper limb is obviously all the complete section of your arm. So we have quite a bit of parts. We have the humerus, radius, ulnar, carpals, metacarpals, and phalanges. The humerus is at the very, very top. It's just one complete bone. Then you have the radius and ulnar. They go joint together. Then you have the carpals, which is the wrist, metacarpals, palm, and fingers are the phalanges. Those all go together to create the hand. Then we move on to the pectoral griddle. This one is made of 3 parts. The coxal, which is hip bones, there's 2 of them. The sacrum and the coccyx make the pelvic. So you can kind of see at the bottom, there is the difference between the male and the woman, and you can kind of see the pictures to show you that and show you the labels and everything. Then we move on to the lower limb, which shows you the whole entire leg. We have the femur, which is just one single bone. Then we have the patella that goes down to the knee that connects to the other bones. Then we have the tibula and fibula, which have two bones together to connect your lower leg. And then we have the tarsals, metatarsals, and phalanges, which create your foot itself. The tarsal is the ankle, the metatarsals are the palm of the foot, and phalanges are your toes. Phalanges are the same for fingers and toes. That's basically it for my PowerPoint. If you had any questions, definitely refer back to the book. It will go into more detail about what each bone does, and all that fun stuff. Thank you guys.